Hello, my wonderful readers, and welcome back to Booked and Busy, the podcast where we emotionally spiral over fictional characters, pretend we don't have a TBR taller than a dragon, and fully commit to romanticizing fantasy men with trust issues. I'm Christia, your host, your overdramatic bookworm, and today we are diving into a book that grabbed me by the throat and did not let me go. We are talking about Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Yes, you heard me correctly. We are talking about the dragons, the war college, the trauma, the slow burn, and the betrayal that made me want to scream into my pillow at 2 a.m. And I'm pretty sure you already know what betrayal I'm talking about. Now, this episode is for the girlies who love fantasy, who love romance, enemies to lovers, and badass female leads. And especially, well, this wouldn't be a romance fantasy book if there wasn't a brooding war boy with darker tattoos and even darker secrets. So we're breaking it all down: the plot, the characters, the heartbreak, the spice, and the twist that left us all in emotional ruin. So without further ado, buckle up and let's get into it. So I decided that since this is like a newer series and it until now it isn't as long as some other fantasy series, I thought it was a good idea to basically analyze each book of the series book by book and starting with Fourth Wing. So Fourth Wing is the first book in the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros, and it basically exploded on Book Talk and social media for a very good reason. It basically follows this girl, Violet Sorengale, who is a 20-year-old who was never supposed to be a dragon rider. Like, ever. Like, she was really not built for it. She was basically more like born into the scribe quadrant because of her dad, which is more of like a quiet and safe and like full of books. But her war hero mom, General Sorengale, forces her into the rider quadrant at Basquiat War College, where the motto might as well be like survive or die trying. And when I say people die, I mean casually, brutally, in every single chapter. This book is really interesting, and this series especially because it's like a mix of like Hunger Games and How to Train Your Dragon and Akator all at once. So, but like with more like with higher stakes and like sharper banter. So if you like any of these books slash movies slash TV shows, you are going to absolutely love this book. It's very brutal and but thrilling, romantic, and filled with dragons that have actual personalities. Like you will literally hear them, not literally hear them speak, but they're very opinionated with very interesting personalities, and we'll go into that deeper. And basically, at its core, it's about a girl who no one believes in, but becomes a girl that everyone fears. Meet all the characters in this book. So, our first and main character is Violet Sorengale. She is very fragile. And fragile, I mean, like, she is literally not just emotionally, like, not emotionally fragile at all, however, physically fragile. She has, like, fragile bones, chronic joint pain, and lives constantly in pain. Like, how is this girl put in the, rider quadrant in the first place when she has this many like no, I wouldn't say disabilities, but like it's not the best thing to have, like more of a disadvantage than a disability. But one thing about her is her mind is sharp as hell. Violent is intelligent, observant, and underestimated every time. So everyone thinks she's like weak, and that's what makes her very dangerous. We basically watch her evolve from someone trying not to die into a dragon riding powerhouse with a spine of steel. Her sass, her strategy, her strength, I'd basically follow her into battle. Like she has my full on like support. But she's not perfect, but that's why I love her. Like, I love her imperfections. Now let's go into the second main character, Xaden Ryerson. Now I just want to make a side comment, and I know like a couple episodes ago that I said that like Rhysand from Akatar was one of my favorite book talk men, but I think Xaden Ryerson might beat him on that list. So yeah, he is the broody warlord in the room. He's also the son of a traitor, but he's covered in rebellion tattoos. He has also eyes that could kill, and he's the leader of the Winged Rebellion and the emotionally repressed fantasy boyfriend of my dreams, as I said before. So at first, Xaden is like pure tension. He hates Violet on sight because basically her mother killed his father. Yeah. And yet, even after that, he still protects her. He chains her and he pushes her to fight. And underneath that cold exterior, he's soft for her in ways that are so subtle but so powerful. He's a very complex character, but he's at the same time like very dangerous but loyal. And when he finally lets his guard down, like I genuinely melted. Okay, let's talk about Dane Aetos. Like when I think of Dane in my head, I just think red flag. Red flag, red flag, red flag. So Dane is basically Violet's like childhood best friend, and he's like the textbook example of, as I said, a walking red flag in disguise. So he's very overprotective, he's very patronizing, and he thinks he knows what's best for Violet even without listening to her. So he really annoyed me until like the end of the book and the series, and his refusal to believe in her strength is so infuriating. And the twist with him at the end, like, I think we'll get into that a bit later. Okay, now let's enough talking about some of the humans in this book. Let's talk about our little lovely dragons. We have Tairn and Andorna. So they're basically icons, and Violet basically didn't just bond one dragon, but two. And I just want to say like how crazy that is, because some people don't even have the chance to bond with one dragon. Like they will literally die trying to bond with one dragon, and she bonded two. So first we have Tairn, who is like a very grumpy, old, sarcastic, and massive dragon. He's basically like dad energy meets like ancient dragon wisdom with a touch of sass. So you expect like a lot of personality from him. Then we have Andorno. She's like the golden baby dragon who also bonded with Violet, but she's very curious and sweet and very powerful from more than what we can understand. But because she's still very young, we don't know the full extent of her powers. And she's also a very rare dragon. She's like gold, and apparently she's gonna shift colors or something. Like, I don't even know, but she's a very complex character, and because she's still so young, we don't know much about her. But I think as the series like progresses, I'm really excited to see what happens with Andorno. So let's talk about some of the romances and the betrayal and some of the slow burn that basically rewired my brain. Let's talk about Violet and Xaden, obviously, because their relationship, like, it's not just a trope, it's like more of like a journey. So from the moment they were forced to interact, like you can feel it, like the distrust, the tension, and the undeniable pull. She's the daughter of a woman who executed his father, and he's the rebel soldier who's supposed to hate her. And yet, every glance, every snarky exchange, it's laced with unspoken attraction and the danger of feelings that neither of them want to admit. And then the barrack scene happened. And I'm sorry, but that was just not. It was not just spicy. It was more transformative. So the moment that Xaden stops holding back and Violet finally steps into her power, that was like the release that every ounce of fear and restraint they'd been carrying. So it wasn't just physical, it was emotional surrender, mutual respect, and the recognition that they saw each other fully and still chose to be vulnerable. But then the betrayal, the reveal that Xaden had been keeping secrets, that he's deep in the rebellion and he's been playing a dangerous game this entire time, it genuinely like just shattered me. Like I was in shock. I actually never expected that from him. And on top of that, Violet's pain felt so real because it wasn't just about lies, it was about choice. She chose to trust him and he broke that trust. And the part that kills me even more is that he doesn't beg. He doesn't beg for her forgiveness or he doesn't beg for her back. Rather, he gives her space and he says, "You get to decide what happens now." And that's also like the kind of love that I would never get over. Like I always come back to reading and loving these types of love and romances in these books because it's very like messy but like grown, painful and especially real. So now that we've done like a small analysis of their relationship and how it literally went downhill towards the end of the first book, there are like a lot of important themes in this book that I think we should mention. So yeah, let's just start. Okay, so let's talk about Violet and Xaden, obviously, because their relationship, like, it's not just a trope, it's like more of like a journey. So from the moment they were forced to interact, like you can feel it, like the distrust, the tension, and the undeniable pull. She's the daughter of a woman who executed his father, and he's the rebel soldier who's supposed to hate her. And yet, every glance, every snarky exchange, it's laced with unspoken attraction and the danger of feelings that neither of them want to admit. And then the barrack scene happened. And I'm sorry, but that was just not. It was not just spicy. It was more transformative. So the moment that Xaden stops holding back and Violet finally steps into her power, that was like the release that every ounce of fear and restraint they'd been carrying. So it wasn't just physical, it was emotional surrender, mutual respect, and the recognition that they saw each other fully and still chose to be vulnerable. But then the betrayal, the reveal that Xaden had been keeping secrets, that he's deep in the rebellion and he's been playing a dangerous game this entire time, it genuinely like just shattered me. Like I was in shock. I actually never expected that from him. And on top of that, Violet's pain felt so real because it wasn't just about lies, it was about choice. She chose to trust him and he broke that trust. And the part that kills me even more is that he doesn't beg. He doesn't beg for her forgiveness or he doesn't beg for her back. Rather, he gives her space and he says, "You get to decide what happens now." And that's also like the kind of love that I would never get over. Like I always come back to reading and loving these types of love and romances in these books because it's very like messy but like grown, painful and especially real. So now that we've done like a small analysis of their relationship and how it literally went downhill towards the end of the first book, there are like a lot of important themes in this book that I think we should mention. So yeah, let's just start. Okay, so I think we're like nearing the end of this book, and I just wanted to highlight some things that I loved and I hated from the book. So the things I loved were violence commentary. They were really funny sometimes, but they were also like very real and human. Like especially when she's talking about like pain and survival. Like it was like as if I was put into like this rider quadrant, and I was like, okay, you're meant to survive. Like it was very realistic. Like I relate to her a lot. Another thing is the sexual tension between her and Xaden. I think it was written like really good because it was just enough push and pull without being too toxic and overwhelming. Another thing that I loved in this series and these books is that the dragons like are actual characters with personalities, and they have like crazy banter, so they're not just like dragons who are supposed to take, I don't know, the riders from point A and B, but like rather they interact, and because they all have like individual personalities, it even makes it even better and more interesting to read. Um and some things that I hated in this book, the first one is Dean. Like that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Like I hate him. Like and the way he like treated her like a child, I like I I don't even want to get into it. Another thing that I hated was how people constantly like doubted her. Like even her own mother doubted her. Like it was so annoying and infuriating to watch like her like not only fight to survive in this war camp, but like fight for some basic respect from everyone. Like some people would even look at her and just make fun of her. Like they didn't even give her the chance to prove herself. And one of the last things that I hated, and what I hate in like most books, is the cliffhanger. Like, I understand it's good for the next book and it's gonna make me intrigued, but I hate it when they leave me on a cliffhanger. Like, that's literally like a slap across the face. Like, oh my god. Okay. Okay. So, this book, it basically consumed me. Like, the action, the romance, the dragons, it's like everything I want in a fantasy book. But more than that, it gave us like a heroine who isn't defined by her body, and a romance that respects her autonomy, and a world that's begging to be burned down and rebuilt. I can't wait to dive into Iron Flame like right now and see where Violent's journey takes us next. I'm scared, I'm excited, and I'm also emotionally unwell. And I also want to know what you thought. Like, were you screaming at the end like I was? Did you trust Zayden? Do you think Dane is redeemable? Please say no. Like, I do not want to fight with you about why Dane is a bad person if you think he's a good one. And another thing is, if you were ever bonded to a dragon, which one would you want? You can even have like a magical, like a new dragon that was not in the book. But I want to know which one of the dragons in the book you relate to and why. So, without further ado, let's just jump right in to the second book in the Empyrean series, Iron Flame. Okay, let's talk about what happens in Iron Flame, the second book in the Empyrean series. So, Iron Flame picks up immediately after the events of Fourth Wing. So, Violet has survived the war games, the betrayal, and the heartbreak. But now she's walking back into Basquiat with a heart full of questions and a target on her back. So now the school is more brutal than it ever was. The lies run deeper, and Violet is being pushed to her physical, emotional, and magical limits. Meanwhile, Xaden is being forced into silent oaths. Sorry. Xaden is being forced into silence by oaths we don't fully understand, and the relationship is strained beyond belief. And during that time, we also learn more about the rebellion, the venin threat, the the wards, the secrets the quadrant has kept from its riders, and how Violet might be the key to everything. So, if you thought the ending of Fourth Wing broke you, girl, this book destroys. So, let's look back at some of our characters in this book, and I think it's important to mention some newer important characters and what they're doing in this book specifically. Let's just dive right in. So, Violet is now way more powerful, more determined, and emotionally wrecked in this book. She's facing betrayal from all sides, including the man she trusted the most. But instead of breaking, she hardens, she evolves, she makes choices that aren't always easy, but they're always her own. And like watching her become a leader, a strategist, and still hold on to her empathy, that's why I adore her. And her grief in this book is so gutting and heartbreaking. Now, Xaden Ryerson. Look, I love Xaden. I've said it before. I love him. But in Iron Flame, Xaden tested me. Like the secrets and the silence and the hot and cold energy, I was I was begging to just rip the pages out of the book. But when the truth comes out, it's insane. Like you realize he's been carrying so much, trying to protect Violet and trying not to break oaths and trying not to let the darkness inside of him win. Like his pain is so palpable, and by the end, like you understand why he is the way he is, but he still pissed me off. Like you could have maybe handled this better, but at the same time, maybe I don't know if I would do the same as he did. Like it's very complicated. So now let's talk about Tane and Adorno, the little dragons. So Tane is still like the cranky, the sarcastic dragon dad we know and love. But Adorno, she's growing up, and she's not just like a baby anymore. Her power is expanding in ways even Tyrion doesn't understand. And when she went away for a bit, I was really sad because I actually missed her. Like I missed her quirky little nature. Then we have Violet's friends like Imogen, Rhiannon, Ridoc, etc. So her friends really show up for her in this book. Like Rhiannon, for example, is so loyal to the core. Imogen is complex, but she's very frustrating and fascinating at the same time. Like sometimes she gives me the same vibes as like a Xaden. And like Riddle gives us so much needed levity. But this new family that Violet has built is so wholesome and like loving, and it's so cute. Another thing with these characters like Liam and Brennan and you know who, yeah, they were supposed to be dead, I guess. So like Liam, for example, his memory is everywhere. Like Violet is grieving him, his sister's grieving him, Xaden's grieving him, and it hurts a lot. Brennan, Violet's brother, who we all thought was dead, is not dead. And you know who I'm talking about? That disgusting piece of shit. Yeah, he's not dead either. He's very much alive, sadly. Now let's jump into the good part and the part that everyone's waiting to talk about, the romance. So this book wasn't just like a romance, it was more of like a war. So in Iron Flame, Viden and Xaden's relationship is like walking through a battlefield like blindfolded. From the first chapter in this book, there's like this unbearable distance between them. And not just like physical, like it's emotional. It's a kind of silence that feels loud. You feel Violet aching for connection while also bracing for disappointment. And Xaden, on the other hand, is drowning in secrets he can't share. And the weight of that tension, like, you can generally cut it with a dagger. But the worst part is that you understand both of them, and that's what hurts. Their love isn't toxic, but it's like wounded. It's like trying to survive in the middle of a war, a rebellion, and grief, and every time they get close, the truth pulls them apart over and over again. Then there's the cabin scene that's like some sort of like redemption in a way. So it's not just like spicy, but it's also shattering. It's all the things they can't say being poured into touch. It's desperation and desire and grief colliding. It's like, I want to be with you, but I don't know how to stay energy. I had to literally put the book down and like breathe. And then, like, when Violet starts pulling back again, when he walks, like, when the walls go back up, like, I felt every crack in my chest like it was mine. Like, this poor girl, like, she really deserves a break. After that comes the betrayal. And finding out how much Xaden has been hiding is crazy. Like, he let her face so much alone. Like, he stood in rooms where truth were twisted and he said nothing about it. And this didn't just hurt Violet, like, I think it hurt us also as readers. Because this wasn't about just like one lie, it was about trust. About all the moments he let her question her sanity, her instincts, and her place in this world. But even in all that chaos, there are these tiny moments of raw vulnerability when he says her name softly, when she lets herself fall asleep beside him, when they both look at each other and you just know they still love each other. They're just too broken to show it in the right way. And the ending, like, I wasn't just crying, I was sobbing and screaming. Like, it was betrayal layered on betrayal. And it was like a twist that hit where it hurts. It wasn't just like plot pain, it was like genuinely just personal. Like, I think Rebecca did this on purpose. So this book didn't just show love, it showed like the cost of loving in a world that just constantly is like tearing you apart. Now, I think we just need a breather from that because their relationship in this book was so much. It was like an emotional roller coaster. Like, one second they're together, the next they're not, the next they're fighting, then they're forgiving. It was a lot. But this book has like very deep meanings and very important themes that I think we should talk about because it's not about just romance. So, some of the themes that I've seen in this book are grief and trauma. So, in this book specifically, like, Violet is grieving basically everything. She's grieving her friend Liam, her innocence, and her former sense of safety. So, her trust in Xaden, like, also is like a grief because she can't trust him anymore. So, but this type of grief isn't like passive grief. It's like heavy and jagged and always sitting right under her skin. And every decision she makes feels like touched by loss. And instead of hiding from it, she carries it. And that is very powerful, in my opinion. Then, another important theme that I saw and I think is very interesting is survival versus living. And these two, although to some people might sound similar, they're not at all. So there's so many characters in this book who are surviving. They are going through the emotions and suppressing their fear and bearing their pasts. But Violet, on the other hand, she starts wanting more. Not just to live, but to live on her own terms. She wants to love. She wants purpose. She wants truth. She doesn't just want to win. And she wants to like win without losing herself, which is very strong, especially during war when people like just sometimes let themselves like forget who they are just to win. And like it was like it's more of like an ego fight, and it's very interesting to see that she wants to like stay who she is. And like another theme that I saw is like truth and loyalty. So like this is like a genuine question for like all of you. Like can you like genuinely love someone who lies to you to basically protect you? Like would you break up with them because like they lied to you, or would you understand where they're coming from? But this is a question that like gets brought up in the book a lot. Like Zayden hides so much, not out of cruelty or because of the type of person he is and whatever, but because he thinks what he's doing is best. But the damage it causes is very brutal, and Violet is then left wondering if love's like is love still love when the trust is gone, you know? Now that we've talked some of the interesting themes in this book, I want to talk about the things like that I loved and hated in this book. And some of the things that I loved here are like Violet's resilience. So she crumbled, but she always got back up with more fire every time, which is amazing. I love that there was deeper world building. So like the way the venin, the rebellion, and the magic, like it all connects, and like I'm starting to understand like the world more is very nice. Like it's not just a fantasy for the sake of fantasy, but like it's rather more political and layered, and it really means something. And I'm usually not really into politics, but the way that this is like it's written into the book very seamlessly and like in a very good manner makes me interested in it. You know, like I'm not opposed to reading it. Another thing that I loved is Brennan being the emotionally intelligent older brother we all needed, because we know that like Violet's sister is smart obviously, but she's also more physical. But it was very nice seeing like a guy, especially in these books, being like the emotionally intelligent one when it's usually like the women in these books. Another thing that I loved is like the little moments of softness, like just like these little small things, like Violet brushing Zayden's hand, the rare quiet smiles, the what if we weren't at war moments. Because generally, like I feel like Violet and Zayden would do so well together, but they just got put in such a shitty situation with this whole war. Like, mind you, they're like teenagers. They're literally like teenagers. Like they are not supposed to be going through what they are going through, and I feel really bad. Some things that I hated in the book is Violet like constantly having to carry everything alone. Like the pressure she has on her is ridiculous. And the fact that no one, even Xaden, fully steps up to help her is so frustrating. Another thing that I really hated in this book was like the secrecy. Like I understand that it's for protection at the end of the day, but it cost her everything. Like including like trust, peace and connection. And another thing that I hated is like the helplessness. Like it's like generally like as much as Violet fights, like the world is always having like one step ahead. But like although it was so painful, it was genuinely realistic, because it shows that at the end of the day, like as much as control like you think you have, you genuinely just have zero, you know? And I think this concludes the second book. I think that this book, Iron Flame, was genuinely exhausting, but also in the best way. Like, it burned, it broke, and it also healed, and then it broke again. Like, are you kidding me? So, what was nice about this book is that it expanded the world and deepened the lore, shattered the romance, and built it into something raw. And even though I feel like I've been hit by a white like wyvern literally, I wouldn't change a thing. So, what do you think about this book? Were you sobbing at the end like me? What are your theories for the next book? let's just talk about it, and you know where you can just use my hashtag booked and busy, or you can message me on Instagram so we can talk about it a little deeper and have an open discussion. Now, without further ado, let's jump into the third book of the series, the most recent one, Onyx Storm. Okay, let's just dive right in and talk about the third book in the Empyrean series, Onyx Storm. So, we've survived Fourth Wing. We've been shattered by Iron Flame, and now we're standing in the storm of secrets, war, heartbreak, and one of the most powerful transformations the series has ever seen. So, if you're still recovering from the last few pages like I am, grab your copy, your annotated copy, your emotional support snack, and let's break it all down. So, what happens in Onyx Storm? Onyx Storm picks up in the emotional fallout of Iron Flame's ending, where everything we thought we knew has been completely flipped. Violet is still reeling from the betrayal, the loss, and the unbearable pressure of what's coming next. The war is no longer looming, it's here. And as Basquiat fractures from the inside out, alliances are questioned, and Violet has to decide what kind of leader and warrior she's going to be. There's a lot more traveling in this book, more dragon action, and more consequences. And Violet is no longer just trying to survive, she's trying to win. But genuinely, at what cost? Now let's look at some of our characters in this book and what they're going through. So Violet is the most raw, vulnerable, and fierce version of herself we've ever seen until now. So she's learning to harness her power while trying not to lose the parts of herself that make her human. She's grieving, but she's also building, and she's questioning everything, especially her place in this war. And yet, despite everything, she still continues to rise, which is beautiful. Now, Xaden. This man literally continues to be emotionally unavailable in the most devastatingly romantic way ever. But now he's more broken than ever. Guilt consumes him. He's wrestling with what it means to fight for freedom versus what it means to protect Violet. And what I find so cute about him is that he always has Violet in his mind. Not in the back of his mind, she's literally front and center. So we see more vulnerability from him, and his interactions with Violet. Oh my god, I saw this TikTok, by the way, that called Violet Violence, because that's what Xaden's nickname for her is, Violence. And I just always end up saying it. I just cannot say Violet for the life of me. But anyways, the tension and the ache, the push and pull, I think they're more complicated than ever. I'm just waiting for the time where they're just smooth sailing and perfect. But I don't think that's gonna come anytime soon. So let's talk about our dragons, Tane and Andorna. So Tane remains the dramatic, wise dragon dad, and Adorna, she's stepping into her power. She's becoming fierce, clever, and crucial. So the mystery around her continues to unfold, and the implications for Violet's bond with her are massive. So now, as we did in the other books, we are going to talk about the romance and the trust rebuilding. So yeah, let's get real, okay? Onyx Storm is where Violet and Xaden that we met in Fourth Wing fully evolve and completely fall apart, then rebuild from ashes. It's really a roller coaster here. The romance here in this book isn't dreamy. It's not dripping in fantasy escapism. It's dragged, exhausted, desperate. You feel how tired they both are, how much they want to go back to what they were, but they can't because too much has happened. Too many lies and too many silences. But the thing is they still choose each other. They still love each other despite everything that's happening. That's the part that I think hits me the hardest. Like, even when Violet doesn't want to forgive him, even when Xaden can barely look at her without guilt written all over his face, they still pull towards, like, they're still pulled towards one another, like gravity, basically. Because they don't just love each other, they're like tethered in a way that neither of them can escape. And there's like this one moment, like you obviously know the one I'm talking about, where like Violet lets her guard down for the first time in what feels like forever, and Xaden doesn't take advantage of it. Rather, he just sees her. It's not like spicy or like exotic and romantic. It's just intimate because it's about safety and trust and knowing that the person who broke you might also be the one who helps you put the pieces back together. But although that is happening, that doesn't erase rage. There are moments where Violet's pain seeps through every page because how do you love someone who shattered you, but for your own good? Like, how do you rebuild from the betrayal when war won't give you a minute to breathe? And that's what this book nails. Like, love doesn't fix everything, but it can be the reason you keep going. Violet and Xaden's love is like very messy, bruised, and imperfect, but it's real. And that, more than any fantasy trope, is what made it hit so hard. Okay, so let's talk about the core themes in this book. So I would say that the main themes here are very like different from the ones in the previous books. So one of the first main themes we see here is the cost of leadership. So Violet is no longer just a rider, she's more of like a symbol. So people look to her for strategy, guidance, and decisions, and at this point she's barely holding it together. So the weight of being the smart one, the one who'll fix it, is like suffocating. And she's still grieving, she's still doubting, but at the same time she's still human. And watching her crack under that pressure and still choose to lead anyway, that's actual strength. Another theme we see here is like what makes a warrior. And like I think a lot of people think that a warrior is someone who's strong, who has power, who like is like a leader, but like that's not it. It's not even like a dragon bond, but it's more of like a choice. Like Violet here chooses to keep going when everything in her wants to shut down. And like especially the scene where she confronts the like leadership, even when like her voice is literally just like shaking, showed that true warriors don't just fight with weapons, they fight with the truth and like internal strength. Another theme we see here is that redemption isn't for everyone. So, like, the book is basically crawling with people trying to earn forgiveness, like Xaden and Imogen, and even Violent in her own way. Violent in her own way. But it doesn't mean, like, but like, it doesn't always come, like, this type of, like, forgiveness. And that's so honest and real. Like, not everyone gets a clean slate. Sometimes you have to carry the weight of your choices, and sometimes people don't forgive you, and that's very real. One of the last like main themes that I saw here are like choice and autonomy. So Violet's arc in this book, it's about reclaiming her agency. So like she's being lied to, she's being coddled, she's being protected, and she's being betrayed. But here she starts taking back control. She stops waiting for people to hand her answers and rather she starts demanding them. She starts choosing herself even when it hurts. Now there are some moments in this book that I feel like were a lot like they were just a lot, but I'm just going to talk about some things that I loved and hated as I always do. So the things that I loved in this book are like Violet stepping into her power. So not just like magically, but like emotionally. So the quiet confidence, let's say, the command in her voice, the refusal to shrink away. Like I loved seeing her just like flourish and like stand up for herself. Then we see, like, for example, like the intricacies of the rebellion and how morally complex everything has become. Like, this isn't just good versus evil anymore. Like, I don't even think that was like ever one of the main ideas. Rather, it's like survival versus collapse. And like another thing that I loved is like Taryn being like the emotionally intelligent, grumpy dad figure that like I never knew like Violet really needed. Like his dry humor and like presence like really helped shape the book and help shape Violet in my opinion. Some things that I hated in this book, because is it really a book review if there are some things that you didn't just hate, is like for example like the manipulation from someone she trusted, like Violet trusted. Like I don't want to say like I didn't see it coming, but like when it happened I was just genuinely shocked because I tend to look at the better, like the brighter side, or like I tend to look at the good in people. And then when I just saw this like betrayal or manipulation, I was like, I'm just so disappointed. Another thing that I genuinely hated was the way that Violet was being kept out of like very key and like important decisions when she's like the key and the answer to everything. Like she's the one who can solve everything. And the thing is with this is like she's done more than enough to prove that she deserves to be in every room that every decision or discussion has been made, and yet she's still been put in the sideline. I think maybe because she's like younger, but that doesn't mean anything, especially after everything she's been through and how she's like pushed herself. So yeah, let's look at some like now that we're done recapping these three books. Um, it was a lot. Like I don't even know who I am anymore. Like I think we should just take a breath and look back because the Empyrean series has been one hell of a ride so far. So let's do like a small recap and see what we think and how we can discuss this deeper. So Fourth Wing basically introduced us to Violet Sorengale, the girl with brittle bones, brilliant instincts, and a dragon-sized destiny. It gave us Basgiath War College, it gave us Enemies to Lovers with Xaden, and it gave us the Threshing, the Gauntlet, the Betrayals, and the beginning of Violet becoming someone who no one saw coming. And let's not forget that heart stopping final chapter because Brennan is alive and we're still not okay. Then comes the second book, Iron Flame, and that one like genuinely like burned me. So Violet had to survive not just the college, but the weight of secrets, the fractures in her trust, and the heartbreak of realizing love isn't always enough when the world is at war. So the stakes were raised, the world expanded, we saw Xaden struggle under the weight of his choices, we lost characters, we grieved, and we ended with a cliffhanger that made me want to throw my Kindle across the room and smash it with a hammer and then run it underwater. Yeah. And now comes the third book, Onyx Storm, that is basically like a war book, a heartbreak book, a rebirth book. We saw Violet evolve from a girl trying to survive into a woman leading a revolution. We saw Andarna's true potential start to crack open. We watched a relationship tested, exposed, and shattered, and then rebuilt again. So it was like darker, heavier, more intense, but it was genuinely like everything. Now, we need like, now that we've read the three books, and it was very obvious that like the series is not done, and I don't think is close to being done. So where do we go from here? Like I think that like Violet and Xaden's dynamic has never been more raw, and I want like real healing in the next book. Like what do you guys think? Do you want them to like just have a break and start healing and learning to love and respect and not hide things from each other anymore? Like I want more softness and honesty and like just like a breather. What about, like, what do you guys think? Do you want that, or do you love like the chaos and the things happening right after the other, you know? Another thing is like I need answers to Andorna's like evolution. Like, what is she becoming? What does that mean for Violet? Like, aren't you guys like really interested in this? Because like this is like a slow burn in itself. Like, figure out what Andorna is, you know? What do you guys think? And another thing that I'm really interested in, as much as I hate them, is the venin. Like, I want their backstory, their origin, their truth, because I feel like there's something bigger is coming and I need more details because I'm so like I'm a very detailed person. So like, what do you guys think? Do you also want to know the truth behind them? Now the thing is with Rebecca Yarros, like she has proven that she's not afraid to hurt us, but she always makes it worth it. So let's hang on because the next book is coming and I feel like it's coming soon and I'm so excited, but I feel like it's gonna ruin us. So let's spiral together and make sure you put down your comments on my Instagram or use the hashtag bookedandbusy to talk about some other things that you'd like me to mention, or we can just have an open discussion on the internet. And until then, stay booked, stay busy, and may your dragons always be loyal and your authors slightly kinder. See you next time on the next episode. Bye!